I just want to say to everyone who's listening to this, I swear, if you put any amount of nazar, bad juju on this relationship, I will find you and not end that sentence.
Welcome to the Sum of Everything podcast, where we discuss a little bit of a lot of topics, ranging from spirituality to finance and everything in between. I'm your host, Aishwarya, a serial hobbyist with an unquenchable thirst for learning, especially through new experiences. In this podcast, we will scratch every itch of curiosity, explore various perspectives, step out of our comfort zone, and experience some of everything. Because after all, we are just that, a sum of all our experiences. So, let's dive right in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sum of Everything podcast. Today is yet another episode with a featuring guest, but this time I am recalling a guest, which means it's only one of two people who could possibly come. And given the topic of this episode, this guest was the only acceptable person to invite. So, everybody, please welcome back Ananya. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me back. I can't wait to get on with the episode. Thank you once again for agreeing to record. And it's almost like I'm capitalizing on your presence while you're here before you run back to Korea. No complaints there. Okay, so as you're aware, on Sum of Everything, we are celebrating February as the month of love and celebrating it in all its forms. And I think one of the most important and enduring forms of love in my life is the love of siblings. Thank you so much. Okay. Love of siblings and friendships is what I wanted to say. But I think it's very important to give a little bit of context over here. You and I, as siblings, we share a very special bond, something that I know I've seen a lot of other people share as well. But it's also something that eludes a lot of siblings that I have seen in my experience. Not everybody gets to be as close to their siblings as you and I, fortunately, are. There are a lot of factors for this, which we can discuss a little bit. But what I want to say over here, most importantly, before we get into further discussion, is that we were close always growing up, but we weren't best friends growing up. Not at all. Yeah. When do you think that shift happened? I think after I grew up, maybe after I finished 11th grade or went into 11th grade, because somewhere around that time you must have been in your third year of college.
Yeah.
Third or fourth year of college.
Yeah.
And I think I specifically remember this phone call that I made to you where I was very angry with you for not calling or talking to me whenever you'd call home and speak to mom or dad.
Yeah.
And I felt neglected and cast aside at that time because my sister, who I had lived with all my life until then, had forgotten about me because she had a new life to create and figure out, and which is very valid. But I think that call must have changed the trajectory of our relationship because it probably put things into perspective for both of us. Very true. I remember that call as well. And I remember feeling extremely guilty that I had sort of sidelined you for a good part of 3 years, I think, at that point. Yeah. And you're right. After the first couple of weeks or months in college, I sort of got busy in my own life and I was making friends and I was experiencing all kinds of new things. So when I did call home, I largely just spoke to mom and sometimes to dad. And I very rarely ever spoke to you. Yeah, and I think my lack of accessibility to a phone at the time also just reduced the possibility of receiving a phone call or message from you directly.
Yeah.
So it's understandable, but it's not excusable. Agreed, 100%. I completely agree that it wasn't the right thing to do. Which sort of brings me to this next point, which is that, and I think the sort of crux of this episode is that all relationships, and especially biological relationships, are a lot of work.
Yeah.
And effort needs to be put into maintaining those relationships because you have the tendency to take someone you've grown up with or you're born to, or, you're just tied to by blood, for granted. And that in itself could spell the downfall of that relationship.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people forget that that's where you receive a lot of your support growing up. And of course, sometimes people think that that support is supposed to be there and it's people's responsibility, but you forget that and you can't take that for granted, which most of us tend to do. And we need to maintain and we need to put in effort to maintain that relationship.
Right. There is a difference between filial duty and wanting to spend time with people. Like there is a difference between loving a person because you are biologically programmed to, and liking someone because you like the person that they are.
Yeah, true, very much.
And I know that phone call that you made, for me at least, was a turning point in how I viewed our relationship. And I know that I started putting a lot more effort into maintaining contact with you.
For sure, yes.
And yeah, I mean, it was hard because you didn't have a phone at that time. And it wasn't like video calls were even a norm. Yeah, at that time, I think we were still using Skype.
I think
and
so.
Google Meet had just started. So it was still a thing. It was not the easiest thing to get on call and see each other's face every day like we do today with you, being in a different time zone and all. But yeah, I know for a fact that that's where I started changing and putting in more effort to both be a part of your life and make you a part of mine.
Yeah.
And I think that has largely contributed to what we share today.
Very much.
The equation that we share today.
Much. I agree. I think you took it the right way. And that's very important. A lot of people probably could have brushed it aside or not taken it the right way and could have probably felt like a negative emotion. How can you not understand the fact that I have a life to live and I have other things to figure out myself and I don't have all the time in the world to probably give you what you want, and like you probably have too many expectations from me. A lot of people have these kind of thoughts. And at that time, I was not the extreme overthinker that I am today. So I didn't think too much about the fact that maybe I'm having very ridiculous expectations of you, where you're figuring out your own life and I'm having my own troubles here, but my sister's not here to listen to me and she's not bothering about me. But I think it's just fair to have these expectations of your siblings, especially if you've grown up being close to each other.
Yeah, 100%. And I think I am very grateful that call was made and you all but yelled at me. No, you did yell at me. but yeah, that was definitely something that needed to be done. And I'm glad that it happened. And so now, moving forward and coming to the kind of equation that we share today and the kind of equation that I see a lot of people around us sharing. So I know most people who are close to me know that in my priority list, you're number one. And I think I can very safely say that I am number one in yours.
That's a given.
And I think now we've sort of moved on from being just sisters to being best friends.
For sure. That's how I talk about you with a lot of my friends now.
Yeah.
She's not just my sister, but she's basically my best friend.
Yeah, exactly. And even somebody who is my best friend understands that you a place of preference and priority in my life that nobody else can dream of. And that's not to say that I don't have an equation with her where, I have secrets with her or tell her things that I don't necessarily share with you.
I think that's also fair because I mean, that's only fair.
Yes.
That you have your own secrets with your other people who you call your best friends as well. And it's okay. Because I have that too.
Yeah, and I would be so far as to say that it's necessary.
And it's healthy.
Yeah, no, you absolutely need to have friendships outside of your immediate family, no matter how close you are to your immediate family. Because sometimes you just need to get away from the madness that is the family.
Sometimes you just need a third person's perspective.
Yeah, 100%. And so I want to ask you this. What, apart from what we've already spoken about, contributed to the equation that we share? Like, what do you think were the efforts that you recognized on my part and you put on your part that has led us to where we are today?
I think something that's very interesting and very important is that
I think you started seeing me as a person, as my own person, and not just as a younger sister or a shadow or something, like you started realizing that I had a personality of my own and I had my own likes and dislikes that weren't influenced by your likes and dislikes. And I think that realization probably helped you, and it certainly helped me as well. Because I realized that we're two different people.
Yeah.
And I don't need to constantly follow in your footsteps.
That's a very good point.
So that definitely helped me separate you as a friend or a best friend from being a sister. So every time you would give me like advice and stuff, I would look at it from two different perspectives.
Right.
From someone who's my sister telling me and lecturing me versus someone who was my friend who was actually trying to open my mind, open my eyes, and make me look at things from a different perspective.
That's a very good point you make, because I think subconsciously somewhere I realized that you were growing into your own person. And I didn't have to take you along to things that I did with my friends. That is something that our parents sometimes made us do, like oh, take Ananya and go kind of thing, which is fair, when you think about it from a parent's perspective. Like I don't.
Considering as a child, you used to be taken along by
an
aunt and for her and gatherings and
I
stuff
can
like
hardly complain. Yes, you very fair point. But another thing I think that contributed very hugely to this rather cohesive and this really positive equation between the two of us is, and I want to credit this wholeheartedly to our parents.
Oh, yeah.
Because at no point in our lives have they ever compared the two of us and put us in any kind of competition with each other in any way.
Ever. I agree completely.
And the fact that we were given the freedom to be our own person and not made to feel lesser or greater than the other, irrespective of our individual strengths and weaknesses, I think that I will be forever grateful to both our parents, because they did a fabulous job just fostering the bond between you and me.
100%. I think the lack of comparison is one of the things that I am the most grateful for, because I do see some people who get compared not just to their siblings but to their friends and people, just in general, people around them.
Yeah.
And I feel like I would have broken if I was compared in that manner, and it would have just really hit my self-esteem and confidence. And the fact that we were just allowed to bloom and find our own paths and pursue what we wanted to pursue in terms of academics and extracurricular activities and things like that. It's the best thing that they could have done for us, and I'm so grateful.
And we couldn't have been more different growing up.
I know.
Because I was your traditional bookish, smart kind of person, and you were entirely, and I just couldn't with sports. Like my hand-eye coordination for sports just didn't exist.
I love that it didn't exist for sports, but you're such a good dancer.
Which is surprising to me, honestly. I trip on my bare feet and I'm able to perform on stage. But on the other hand, you were so creative and had such a good eye for anything that was art related.
And for the record, refused to study, which scared mom so much that she was worried I wouldn't pass my 10th and 12th board.
Which, by the way, you did with sufficiently flying colors and no one's ever complaining. But also the fact that you were so good at sports. Yeah. And I sometimes regret that we weren't able to nurture that particular talent of yours.
I think that's a tiny regret that I have as well, but it's okay. I mean, I moved on. And it's not what I really love, right?
Yeah. Yes, you did, which is something that I really admire, because you're able to fuel your passion into something that you enjoy so much in such an organized way. To see that you have success in that is fabulous.
Thank you.
Okay, I want to switch gears here a little bit and talk about friendships that we've had.
Okay.
And how we each feature into those individual friendships that we have.
For instance, I have always been an extrovert and I have always had a lot of friends. A lot of them have been very close and I've continued to remain friends with them over the years, despite having moved so much or them having moved out of the country. And um, it has always been the fact that, like, if I have people who are very close to me and if they've met you, you are a Jagat younger sister. And it sort of extends to the fact that they almost subconsciously include you in our plans sometimes.
That's so sweet.
Yeah,
and that happened.
and it happened so recently.
So heartwarming.
I know, and they all think of you as a younger sister. So, like when you had gotten the news that you'd be, moving to Korea, I know at least 3 people who gave me a whole list of things that you must pack
That's so
and
sweet.
advice on how to deal with the cold and what it's like to live in a new country and all because they're my friends and they've seen you as a baby
Right.
and they treat you as a younger sister as well. So that and the sheer number of friends of yours who've told me that they can't see me as anything other than a 12-year-old. I know. So essentially, you've always been an important part of my friendships because people who become close enough to me know that you are a very intrinsic part of my life and an inseparable part of my life.
Mhm.
And I sort of end up working you into conversations that I have with people I go on dates also with, even if it's a first date. So that's the kind of relationship that I have with you. You, on the other hand, have not been a very extroverted person in your life. You opened yourself up to a very limited number of people. And you're very choosy about who you decide to share yourself with.
Yeah.
How does that play out in when growing up with a sister who is almost always busy with
People.
plans, with friends? Yeah, with people. Yeah.
I think since I've always been an introvert, I've just had difficulty making friends. But even when I did make friends, I had a lot of trouble with maintaining friendships for whatever reasons. I mean, I would be seen with a big group of friends very, very rarely, and that would never last. That has never lasted, right? And so now I think I can call a handful of people my friends who have remained over the years. And it's like one person has remained from each phase of my life. And so I'm really grateful for those people now. And because of whatever has happened in the past with my past friendships and whatever experiences I have had, I think I've just started having a little bit of trust issues in that aspect. But despite that, I still try to put myself out there and meet new people and make new friends. And I think people really understate the importance of that prefrontal cortex development because I swear, I think I've learned more about people and friendships and what they have to offer and how much I can expect out of people only in the last 1 year.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did because I feel like this big burden has been lifted off my shoulders of needing this big group of friends that everybody has so much fun with, visiting lovely places and stuff like that. And it feels kind of relieving that I don't have to put that pressure on myself anymore. And I don't need to put that pressure on other people that I meet anymore.
Good point. That's a very interesting take.
And in terms of how it felt growing up with a sibling that was extremely extroverted, I didn't care for a very long time. It didn't matter because I'm a homebody and I just love staying at home.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think after a certain number of failed friendships, I did feel like it was great that you had such beautiful friends and such big friend circles and people you could actually trust. But a part of me used to wish that why don't I have that? Is there something wrong with me? But it's not like a jealousy thing. Like, oh, I hate that she has this. Or something.
Right.
It was more like, oh, I love this for her. I wish I had it too. But okay, fine. Let's move on.
Actually, that's a very interesting point you bring up about jealousy, right? I think it's very easy to get caught up in envy and sibling rivalry.
Yeah.
And it takes a certain amount of conscious effort to allow yourself to feel negative emotions towards your sibling but also at the same time understand that you would never wish ill for them. And I think it's necessary for those negative emotions to come out one way or the other. And I've found that talking to you about it helps.
Yes, and I think I would like to think that we have both been so open about it and allowed the other person and given the other person space to come and be open and truthful about this. And
Right.
it's so important. That's another thing that's really built up over the years and built the trust in each other.
100%. So in that manner, this, like a sibling relationship, at least an adult sibling relationship, is no different than a friendship that you want to work on.
Exactly.
And now that's how I treat it. And I was thinking about this. Like, we've had phases in our relationship, right? Like, as kids, we were kids and we fought like kids.
Yeah.
And we scold each other like
Mhm.
kids. So, I mean, we've had explosive fights where I have been maimed, literally. My face has been scratched out.
Apologies.
But yeah, we've had those kind of fights. And then we came to a phase where I was away from home. So there was sort of like a space,
I think distance makes the heart grow fonder is a real thing.
Yes, I agree with that. And also it allows you to become your own person without the oversight of either your parents or the constant need to, think about how your behavior is affecting your sibling.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
And it allows you to grow into who you are as a person and then come back and form that bond once again.
Very true.
Which I think happened once again when I moved back home. We were able to reinforce our bond to such an extent that now that you're away from home, it doesn't feel like there's an empty space necessarily. Right? Because you're doing your own thing, you're becoming your own person, you're growing and evolving your own way, but you're so secure in that support that, my sister's there.
Exactly. It would have been so easy for me to have thought that the fact that I'm so far away, people would have forgotten about me and I would probably lose that support. But the fact that I'm okay going back and attending my graduation alone and my family is not going to be there, it's okay to me because I know I've had so much support from them all through that it's fine. I know they're there sitting and watching me on the screen just because it's like negative degrees outside and they can't come.
Yeah. I mean, we know that it's not by choice that we're not coming. It's because it's not practical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, since that one phone call, I think we've learned how to maneuver the distance over the years and adapt to whatever technology has allowed us to maintain this relationship, right?
So, I think the bottom line is it's important to have confrontations.
Yes.
And talk about how you feel, especially the negative emotions. But that doesn't mean, I mean, this is just a side note, doesn't mean you only talk about your negative emotions. And I think that is very important to discuss especially in families that, but yeah, it's important to talk about negative emotions. And
It's
air it
important.
out. Yeah.
It's important to have expectations from people you've been close with and express those expectations. And the other side has to be mature about taking it in and have a conversation about it, not a monologue.
Fabulous. That's such a good point, and it's so eloquently put. Because I think somewhere along the way today, we keep telling ourselves that it's not important to have it, or rather, it's not worth it to have expectations, and you can't burden the people that you're close to, and that's not fair. And I very strongly disagree with that sentiment. Me too. I think it is. I think while you can hold space for somebody who is not in a position to maybe listen to you when you're at your lowest, that does not mean that you can't have expectations because, well, what is the point of a friendship then? What is the point of the fact that you have a bond with a person if you can't go to that person at your low times and tell them how you feel? And this is a lesson that I learned rather the hard way, not just with you, but with other friends of mine as well. Because I, as a person, wouldn't lean on anyone.
I know, I remember this.
And I've learned the hard way that it is important to, for your own sanity. It is important to lean on your people.
And I think I learned that it's important to come out of my shell once in a while.
Yeah.
Or rather, more often than once in a while. And talk to people about how I was actually feeling and not bottle up my emotions.
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, I think your point about having expectations, I do want to put it out there that it is okay and it is important to have expectations of people, and it is okay to be disappointed if they don't meet them.
Yeah.
It is important to talk to them about it, but you can't wall yourself up and say, oh no, I'm okay, I'm fine, all on my own.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And it's very important to remember that it takes two people to maintain a relationship, not one side.
Yes. To everyone out there who goes around saying, oh, I'm bad at keeping touch, come on.
If you really, really wanted to, and if, like, honestly, if you really wanted to, you would. So, I mean,
and if there is somebody that you haven't been keeping in touch with but want in your life, pick up that phone, send that text,
and be prepared to receive whatever that other person has to tell you or give you in return. But at the end of the day, at least you reached out. And that's the important thing.
100%.
To break that wall.
I think that's what solidified our friendship.
Yeah. Okay, wait. Before we end this episode, I just want to say to everyone who's listening to this, I swear, if you put any amount of nazar, bad juju on this relationship, I will find you and not end that sentence.
On note of that threat
from Ananya to
everybody, I think it's a good time to say goodbye, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.